And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and it is time to begin our final tier list series of NBA 2K21 My Team. So we're starting off with the point guard tiers as usual. Let me get the parameters out of the way quickly. Most of you guys have been watching my tier list all year. You kind of know the drill by this point. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. A tier, just a shade under S tier. Usually there's a bigger gap between S tier and A tier, but once you get to the end of the year, the gap really isn't that big between, honestly, the top three tiers realistically. But I will try to differentiate and explain why each card is in each tier. B tier, these are the cards the majority of the community are going to be using in one way, shape, or form. So all incredibly good. There's not really too much of a difference between them and A tier, but I will obviously explain there is a difference. I also rank them within each tier as well. So if you see one of your favorite cards at the top of B tier, and then there's a card you don't really like that much at the bottom of B tier, just know that within rankings, there's like a 20 card difference. C tier, usable cards, maybe they're just a little bit small, maybe there's something that's a little bit wrong with the card. There's some reason they're there. Maybe they're outdated, who knows. D tier, they do a couple things well, and in the right hands, they might still be usable in some fashion, but you'd do better to upgrade. F tier, I wouldn't use these cards, but maybe there's a use for them, or maybe they do something just good enough that they don't deserve to be in trash tier. And trash tier, obviously, they're trash. So I do try to rank between next gen and current gen. I used to differentiate and say, I try not to rank cards based on if they're badged up, but pretty much every card that comes out now is max badges, so really doesn't matter anymore. But I will still talk about it if they don't have a certain badge that needs to be applied. So let's get started. Alex Caruso, future Bulls legend, definitely deserves to be in C tier. Pretty decent size, I believe he's like 6'5". He's balding, he's got a mustache, headband, everything's there. Everything checks out. He's got a mediocre jump shot, it's okay. He's about a C tier as they come, so using him as kind of the barometer for C tier makes a lot of sense. He's not big, but he's got enough size where he can play the position if you need him to. His jump shot is kind of just meh, but it's good enough. You know what I mean? He embodies C tier. Anthony Simons, I would put him in F tier. I don't think he's necessarily trash because he is kind of a fun to use card. And I think he is better than a lot of the guys that are going to end up in trash tier. But he might move down, depends how much I fill out F tier. Zion Williamson. I don't think he's quite B tier anymore at this point, though. If the Invincible Zion happened to play the same positions that this one does, I think he'd be even B tier, possibly even A tier, but this card's just a little outdated badge-wise. That's basically why he's here. Ayu Dosunmu, I think that's how you say that. I don't know. C tier. I like this card a lot. He's essentially a better version of Kobe White. That's the best way I can describe him, which is interesting because they're both on the same team in real life. We got two future Bulls legends in C tier right now. I was supposed to take this Baron Davis out. I kind of forgot, but trash tier. This Baron Davis I would put in D tier. I think the three cards in C tier are better than him. That's just my view on it. Invincible Ben Simmons is an easy S tier. I left this one up at the top because, I mean, obviously he's S tier. He's if not the best point guard in the game, one of the best point guards in the game. So I don't think I'm going to get much pushback on Ben Simmons in S tier. Bob Sura. I love Bob Sura, but trash tier at this point. He's just outdated. Though I am going to start production on the documentary soon that I did want to do. I try not to watch other people's content before I make my own content, but I did watch DBG's documentary. It's good. I have some disagreements that I will lay forth. Dark Matter, Cade Cunningham. I think he's S tier, personally. From a personal standpoint, I think Ben Simmons is better, and although he's shooting guard primary, I think if we're looking at just base 98 point guards, I think Andre Karolinko is still a superior card to Cade Cunningham, but he's shooting guard primary, so he'll be on the next list, not this one. But for point guard primary eligible cards, I still think Cade Cunningham is one of the best cards in the game, so I will put him in S tier. Jalen Rose, B tier, no question. He's definitely better than all the guys in C tier. And no joke, one of my favorite cards in the game. Trey Mann. Actually, I do like this card. I would put him at the bottom of C tier. I think he's better than the guys that are going to be in D tier. Cam Payne, D tier. He's better than Anthony Simons, I can say that. Chauncey Billups. He is the best card in D tier, but that release is just super slow, and he's a little bit small. I like Chauncey Billups, though. I need him for the All Pistons team. I always need a good Chauncey card in the mix. Invincible Chris Paul. I would throw him in D tier just because he's got kind of a slow jump shot and he's a little bit small. There's nothing like particularly wrong with this card. Just because he's an invincible, I'm not going to just put him in C tier, though. I would use all of these guys above him for sure. Chris Webber. He's outdated, certainly, but I still think he's good enough to be like the bottom of C tier. You know what I mean? Still 6'9", still got a pretty decent jump shot. He can still handle the rock. He's decent. Clem Haskins. I would put him in F. You're crazy if you're going to sit here and tell me you'll use Clem Haskins over these guys in D tier. It's just a badge discrepancy issue. It's nothing wrong with Clem Haskins. Like, you might be comfortable with this card, but objectively, these guys are better. Kobe White. Yeah, C tier. I think AO is a better version of Kobe White. Kobe White has the better jumper, I will say, but everything else is better with AO. Plus, he's a little bit stockier. But Kobe White still deserves to be C tier, I think. He might move down at some point, but I think he's better than Trey Mann. But that could just be, obviously, Bulls fan bias. Cole Anthony. I think he's on Campaign's level, but these two guys are the first to move down. Colin, D tier as well. He's just a little bit small, but Sexton's been good all year, so. Invincible Dame. I would throw him in D tier as well. He plays like no defense. I'm just not a huge fan of this card. D'Lo. I think D'Lo's C tier. He's a bit outdated in the badge count department, but he's definitely better than all these guys. He's got a better jumper. He's a little bit bigger. Still usable. Rudy. A. No question. For me personally, he's S tier, but I'll put him in A. It makes more sense. Darius Garland. He's just one of those reward cards. His badge count is super low. He's small. F. I think Clem Haskins is actually better than him. Next, Opal Trey Mann. I mean, he's the bottom of D tier. Still somewhat usable, but not great. Paul George. A tier, for sure. I don't think he's quite S tier, but I think A tier makes sense for him. He plays better at the point guard than I initially thought. Darren Collison, I would put him in trash tier. He's like worse than Clem Haskins. De'Aaron Fox. He's better than all these small guys in D tier, and for that reason, I'd put him in C tier. I might actually put him ahead of D'Angelo, maybe like right there. I'll put him ahead of Chris Webber and Trey Mann. No, Trey Mann's better. Kyle Lowry. D. Yeah. John Wall. I would throw him in C tier as well. He's better than all these little guys. He's good. John Wall's been fire this year. Ever since his pink diamond, he's been good. So, Deontay Murray. I literally think he's one of the best cards in C tier as of right now. I would put him ahead of Alex Caruso, actually. I like AO a little bit more, but Murray's really, really good. Nate Robinson. Yeah, trash. He's trash tier for sure. DeMarcus Cousins. I think this is one of the most underrated cards in the game, personally, and I think B tier makes sense. Jalen Rose is still better, by the way. John Stockton. Huh. Yeah, I mean D. He's alright. He's not that much worse than his Invincible card, and he's definitely better than the guys in F tier. Dennis Schroeder. Trash. Dennis Schroeder's like really bad. I would say that, yeah, he's better than Collison, though. USA Darren Williams. I would also throw him somewhere. I would put him ahead of Kyle Lowry in Campaign. Put him by like Baron Davis. Like, he's okay, but he's just not that good. Goat Magic. A tier. If he had a different jump shot, he'd be S tier, but A tier makes sense for him. If you're good with his jump shot, he's probably S tier, though. You know? For you, anyway. Devontae Graham. This card's actually fun. I like this card a lot. I put him like towards the top of D tier. Nico Mannion. D. Bottom of D. For the red hair alone. The fact that he looks like the guy from, what's that Stars show? It's got Pablo Schreiber in it. American Gods. Yeah, he looks like the leprechaun from American Gods. Don Ole. He's outdated for sure, but I'm not going to disrespect Don Ole by throwing him in F tier. Emmanuel Mudiay. I would throw him like up here somewhere. I'll move Don Ole up, by the way. I'm going to put him up by like Cole Anthony in Campaign. I would put Mudiay towards the top of D tier. He's actually really good. Eric Bledsoe. I hate this card. F. I don't care. If you like it, fine. You can argue D tier, but whatever. Facundo Campazzo. He's just better Juan Carlos Navarro, so for that reason, I'll put him up in D, but he is small. Fat Lever. This is another one of the more underrated cards this year. I feel like this card did not get enough love when it came out, so I'm going to put it by Don Ole. Put him by Don Ole. Yeah, D. Frank. He's not very good because he lacks hot zones, but he has good size, so I'd put him in D tier. But it is on site with Season 6 forever. I hate Season 6. It's the worst season this year, no question about it. Fred Brown, F. It's not his fault. Penny Hardaway, A. I would rank it as such. This is how I would rank A tier right now. And yeah, I would put him in A for sure. I personally would use him over Paul George, but I understand majority of the player base is better with Paul George, so I'll keep Paul George ranked ahead of him. Fred, I can't put him in F tier, or I can't put him in trash tier, so I'll put him in F, but yeah. Noah, he's big, so for that reason, he's not trash tier, but he's not very good. You know what I mean? Gary Payton. The glove still gets C tier. Yeah, for sure. I'm shocked we didn't get an invincible Gary Payton. I feel like that's kind of weird. I still feel like we're going to get more invincible cards, though, so I might end up doing another tier list. Who knows? Down the line. I still feel like we're going to get new content in some form. Giannis. Yeah, big Giannis is S tier for sure. I'm not even going to rank the 3 guys in S tier because it's really personal preference, so just know S tier really isn't ranked. Just because all 3 of these guys are super overpowered, there's really no reason to try to rank these guys. It's all personal playstyle. I would say Giannis is the worst out of these 3, and that's just because he's the hardest to shoot off the dribble with, which is kind of important. Not saying it's not impossible with Giannis, but most people have an issue shooting with Giannis's jump shot off the dribble. As a point guard, that's kind of an issue, but he's still so dominant in every other aspect that he definitely deserves to be above A tier and in S tier. Jeremy Lin. Yeah, he kind of has to go right here. He's not very good, though. I would actually put him lower, and that hurts my soul to do that, but needs to happen. Gilbert Arenas deserves to go right next to Devontae Graham because they're essentially the same card. They have the same jump shot, same SIGs. Goran Dragic, F. He's not bad, but I would use all the guys in D tier over him. Grant Hill. I would throw Grant Hill in B tier, and I would rank it as such for right now. Actually, I think Grant Hill's a little bit better than DeMarcus Cousins. Invincible Magic and GOAT Magic are the exact same. There's no difference between them, so A. Monte Morris, I would put him as the best card in F tier because he's got a money jump shot, just a terrible badge count. Hal Greer, yeah, I put him in F tier as well. I don't really think he's D tier level. He's not very good. Andre Miller, yeah, he's trash. Amon Shumpert. He's just outdated, but I think he does deserve to be at the bottom of D tier. He's still a really good card. I'd put him ahead of Frank, actually, like right over here in campaign. Hedo Turkoglu. I'm going to do a little social experiment here because although I have warmed up to Hedo, I've been using him a lot more, just trying him out. And I do like him a lot, and I think he's better than all the cards in B tier for now, but I'm going to put him right here because people got so upset that I didn't put him in A tier last time. I just want to see if you guys just like to complain for no reason, or if maybe I did do something wrong. We'll find out. Bonga. I think he's the worst card in B tier, but he's B tier for sure. He needs some badge additions, 100%, but he's a 6'8 point guard. He plays well, decent jump shot. Pantheon Magic. I would put Pantheon Magic in B tier, for sure. He's a shade under these 2 guys. He just has a few less badges, obviously. Stats are a little worse. He's essentially the same, but he's slightly worse. Enough that I can put him in B tier, I think. Probably put him like right around here. Right there. Yeah. I would personally I use him over Grant Hill. So Isaiah Thomas. He's just so small, dude. I'd put him in F. This Isaiah Thomas, though, I would put him in D. He's actually a fun card to use. Move Dame down there. Yeah. Jalen Brunson. Once again, reward card's not really his fault that he's bad. Next, Cade. He's going to end up at the bottom of B tier, potentially the top of C tier, but they actually made this card relatively good. He's not that much worse than the Dark Matter, which is not the same as every other Opal version of the next cards, but they at least made Cade pretty decent, and he is like a B tier guy. He's probably the best base 98 point guard you can buy for under like 20k. Wes Unseld for sure B tier still. He's still so good. I don't really care. Actually, I would legitimately put Cade ahead of Bonga. I would put Bonga as probably the worst card in B tier at this moment. Yes, Jalen Rose is the best. No question. Davion Mitchell. My favorite card in D tier. No question about it. I'm not even kidding. For sure. I really enjoy this card in general. He has a stocky player build. So, yeah, he's kind of small. Obviously, at 6 foot, but think he's like 6'1 or 6'2, but he plays really well. So, Yuta, yeah, trash. I don't care. Flame me, doesn't matter. He's 5'9". I hate him. Jalen Suggs. You know what? He's small, but I would put him in B tier. That Exum base, he's actually really good. I don't care that he's 6'4". Like, he's a really good card. This Jalen Suggs, I would put him down in like D tier though. He's got a really, just not a great badge count. He's not bad at all, but like this card makes up for being 6'4" with an incredible badge count, incredible stats. This card's just slightly worse. So for that reason, I mean, maybe I'll move him up to C tier. All things considered, just depends. Jamal Murray. Like, I think this Jamal Murray's better than that Jalen Suggs, personally. I would put him by like De'Aaron Fox area. Jameer Nelson. Trash. Peyton Pritchard. F. He's not very good. I might even drop Jalen Brunson. Like, Jalen Brunson's pretty bad. Ja Morant. Yeah, D tier. He's not incredible. He's okay. That's all I can really say. Jason Kidd. Top of F tier. His jump shot's just so terrible this year. I just wish they could give Jason Kidd like just a moderately okay jump shot. Just do it, Dirk him. Do the Dirk thing. I don't need him to have like a special jump shot, but just give him like Kemba Walker base or just something, like some mid-tier jumper. You know what I mean? Give him the same base as Caruso. Who cares? Jason Terry, yeah, throw him in F2. Don Bussy, trash. Jason White Chocolate Williams. A lot of slander on this card when he came out, but he has base 3, and just for that reason alone, I'd put him in D tier. He's not great, but he's okay. Jerry West. Tough. I would put him in like C tier though. He's actually pretty good. He's just small. That's it. But he's good. I would, yes, legitimately use him over Isaiah Thomas, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, all these guys. Like, I like this Jerry West card a lot. I'd put him like Trey Mann, Gary Payton area. All right. Warped Reality, Ben Simmons. Ooh. B. I still think all the cards in A tier are better at this point. It's just a badge thing. If you have a badged up Ben Simmons, he's probably like A tier, but that's just me. Kevin Johnson, F. Kira Lewis Jr., F. Steve Francis, D. Captain Kirk, best card in trash tier. I'm literally wearing a Kirk Heinrich jersey, and I'm still putting Kirk Heinrich in trash tier. That's how you know this is unbiased. Kobe Bryant. B tier. He's still better than most of the guys in C tier, but for I put him in B. Yeah. Kyrie, I hate this card. I don't care. If you want to put him in D tier, fine, but he goes no higher than that. Lamar Odom. Yeah, Lamar Odom's still tight. I would put him ahead of Kobe right here in B tier. Still very good. Flash LaMelo, best card in B tier, no question. Invincible LaMelo, you can LaMelo Ball A tier. I mean, you can make a case for S tier for him, but I think like it's hard to really say for certain if he's that much better or worse than Paul George. You know what I mean? So I would put him in A tier for that reason. Larry Legend, I think B tier makes sense. He's still good for sure. LeBron James, yeah, I still think he deserves to be B tier. I would put Jalen Rose ahead of him. Nah, that's crazy. I'll put LeBron ahead of him. B tier makes sense for him. Lonzo Ball. Yeah, B tier, no question. Right there. Bam. Louis Dampier. F. Yeah, where's Isaiah Thomas? Yeah, right there. Opal Luka. I think he's still legitimately C tier. He's just outdated. That's it. Invincible Luka. He's the best card in A tier. But I think these guys are all significantly better than him. But for personal playstyle, like you could obviously argue that Luka deserves to be S tier. You know what I mean? Brogdon. I like this card a lot. I would put him at like the bottom of B tier. Markelle Fultz. He's just bigger Steph Curry, so I put him by D'Angelo Russell in C. Mark Price. Trash. Michael Adams. Yeah, F. He's just small. Michael Carter Williams. Dude, I love this card so much. I don't even care. I'm putting it in C tier. Slander me as you will. Michael Jordan. B tier. Yeah, I'll put him right ahead of Lonzo Ball. That's where he belongs, I think. Michael Ray Richardson, D tier. Towards the top, too. He's really good. Mike Bibby, trash. Mike Conley. I like this card, actually. I'd put it D tier. Davion Mitchell, F. Yeah. Muggsy Bogues. Like, he's technically speaking, like, the best card in trash tier, but he's actually, like, pretty bad, so He's better than Yuta and Jameer Nelson. That I can say for sure. On current gen, he's not horrible, but on next gen, he's literally the slowest card in the game. Nate Archibald, I would D. Rafer Alston, D as well. Rondo. I actually think Rondo is C tier. I like Rondo a lot this year, and I think it has a lot to do with his jumper, but I do think he's better than all of these guys in D tier. Like, legitimately. Reggie Jackson, F. Like, he's just not very good. I mean, free cards are free cards, though. They can keep giving us trash free cards. Reggie Theus, I think this card was really underappreciated at the time, but he's still, like, F tier. But he's still somehow better than Muggsy Bogues. Doesn't make any sense. RJ Hampton, C tier. Bottom of C tier for sure. Yeah, I know you see all these Invincibles down here in D tier, and you're like, no way you're using RJ Hampton over those guys. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I try not to factor in the meta too much, but sometimes you kind of have to, and RJ Hampton is just better than those guys. Rod Strickland, he's the best card in trash tier. Ron Harper. I love Ron Harper, even though he's outdated, I'll still put him in C tier. I love this card. I might move some of these guys up from D tier, by the way. It just depends. Russell Westbrook. Yeah, he's actually good. I'd put him in C tier. The top of C tier. Sam Cassell. He's not terrible. I would actually put him in D tier. He got a lot less love when he came out than he should have. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think this card's incredible. It's just not very many people have him because he was expensive for so long, but I would put him in B tier. Shake Milton. Shake Milton's actually pretty good. I'd put him like D tier. Like, yeah, he's better than Jeremy Lin for sure. Spencer Dinwiddie, C tier. Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie's actually pretty solid as well. Invincible Steph. Invincible Steph is small, but he's C tier for sure. Like, he's better than these guys. He's better than IT. He's better than Chris Paul. He's better than Dame. He's better than Stockton. Just because of the jumper. Stockton might move up, though. I actually like this card. It's not as bad as you'd think. Starberry. Yeah, right here. It's a Derrick Rose clone. He's pretty decent. He's technically speaking better than Don Ole, but I think Don Ole's still better somehow. It doesn't make sense, but Steve Nash, yeah, D tier as well. Terry Rozier, he's small and not very good, but he's still like significantly better than a lot of the. Nah, he's not that much better than Kyrie. Put him F. Theo Maladin, same thing. For lower overall purposes, I think TJ McConnell deserves to be in D tier for that reason. He's really not bad at all. Tony Parker, I mean, he's got base 98. He's actually not that bad, shockingly. Oop T-Mac. Oh, this is going to hurt some feelings. S tier, no question. I don't care. Yeah, he's better than all the guys in A tier. Fight me. Doesn't matter. That's how I feel. Trae Young. Where'd I put Steve Nash? I know I put him in D tier, but where is he exactly? Because that's exactly where this guy's going. Yeah, Trae Young. Fine. Fine with me. Tyrese Halliburton. Probably one of the best cards in C tier, but C tier would make sense for him. Tyrese Maxey. Low badge count, but he's a fun card to use. Vlade Divac. Bottom of C tier, but he deserves to be there. Walt Frazier. Okay, this one's going to ruffle some feathers too, because I literally think Walt Frazier is like C tier. Granted, at the bottom of C tier, I'm going to move John Stockton up. Stockton, I think, is better than a lot of these guys. He's actually pretty fun to use. He's just small. That's the only issue with that. But let me know what you think down in the comments below of the tier list. Obviously, I will be coming back with the shooting guard tier list, small forward tier list, power forward tier list, center tier list. And I'm going to start working on the documentary as well. It'll probably take a week or two to get out, though. I haven't worked on it at all because I just had the idea to do it like 3 days ago. So, as always, it has been your boy, Cheap Ludes. And I will be back with more content later. Check the description for all my stuff. And hope you guys have a good weekend. Peace.